What's up, everyone, out in the World Wide Web? This is Jesse. Well, my name is Jesse, and today we're talking about dynamic versus static characters and what are the differences, and when do you use a dynamic versus a static character in a given situation. So this is going to be a two-part series where I'm going to first start off with the dynamic versus static characters, and then next time I'm going to be doing the round versus flat characters. So this will be the part one of two parts. Now, what does it mean for a character to be dynamic? I keep on using this word throughout my videos, but what does it actually mean? When I think of the word dynamic, when it comes to someone having a dynamic personality, I usually think that the person is charismatic, smooth, or charming. In music, dynamics is a progression of louds and softs throughout the piece. Now, when it comes to characterization, dynamics is similar. A dynamic character changes throughout the story. They will progress or regress as the story unfolds. Their values, personality, and ideals will change as they are faced with obstacles. Now, here's some examples of a dynamic character. Neville Longbottom from the Harry Potter series. He starts off as a nervous misfit, but as the books and movies progress, Neville gains confidence, and by the end, he's a confident young man standing up to Voldemort.
Why is it always me?
Another example of a dynamic character is Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. This young prince starts off as an angry and conflicted individual. His uncle and other events throughout the series shape Zuko. But at the end, he finds peace within himself and is more resolved to do good. I also need to point out that the changes in each of these characters is primarily inward or internal within their own personalities. While their outside appearance may change, that external change is a reflection of the changes that happen within their own hearts. When creating dynamic characters, here are some things to keep in mind. Number 1, be aware of the characteristics of the character. Are they depressed or angry? Are they impulsive? Now ask yourself, what characteristics are going to change by the end of the story? Then write accordingly. The second thing to keep in mind when writing a dynamic character is make the character take responsibility. Making the character be the victim of their situation can possibly create development, but they have greater potential for internal change if they are the reason for the disaster. Next thing to keep in mind is to increase the conflict. Heighten the conflict and the level of conversion will be greater within the character. Now, the opposite of a dynamic character is a static character. Let's define static. According to Google, static means lacking in movement, action, or change, especially in a way viewed as undesirable or uninteresting. A static character will have little or no change within themselves. If a dynamic character is like water, moving and changing, a static character is like a rock, unmoving. These characters have set ideals, traits, and morals. Static characters don't tend to be the main character in stories, but there are some exceptions. Here's some examples. Captain America, he is a true blue American boy. He is stalwart and is immovable in his morals.
No, I don't. Sometimes I want to punch you in your perfect teeth. But I don't want to see you gone. We need you, Cap.
Another example would be Sherlock Holmes. He faces intellectual challenges and riddles that challenges his mind, but his essential personality doesn't change. Now, this is not to say that static characters are bad necessarily. When done right, they can teach lessons. Static characters are good for action-oriented or riddle plots that don't focus so much on the characters, but the external world. When creating a static character, here are some things to keep in mind. Number 1, give them a motive. A good static character should have good reason to resist change. Captain America doesn't change because he sees the change as compromising his values. Thus, he doesn't change because of that motive. Next thing to keep in mind is to give them an interesting backstory. This will help show why they are static and immovable. Next is to make their personality interesting. Sherlock is well known for his quirky and amusing character traits. Next is to play with the relationships with others. Marvel's Civil War had conflict because a static character, Captain America, wouldn't cave to another dynamic character, Tony Stark. And that conflict within there because it's the immovable versus the movable and how those characters interchange and how they interacted with each other. This is one reason why I really like Captain America. He may be old-fashioned, but he teaches that sometimes compromise and change in some ways isn't good. Also keep this in mind, sometimes static characters tend to be the villains, while the hero tends to be the dynamic character. But not always. From dynamic characters, we learn to change, develop, and move on. While well done, static characters can teach us to stick to our guns, to dig in, and to hold true to our values. And those are my thoughts on dynamic versus static characters. I got a lot of my information from the website Masterclass, so check out the link in the description if you want to check that out. It seems like an awesome website. Be sure to leave a comment and like this video, subscribe so we can see each other. Matt, that was not good. Just subscribe. We'll see you in later videos. Have a good one. Be kind to each other out there. And remember, it's not what you watch, but how you watch it that makes you a scholar.